Welcome to another episode of Perkasie Business Chat, where we're connecting the community to our business owners one entrepreneur at a time. Today, my guest is Kip Anthony of EFE Labs and Spark Technologies. Kip, since you're a new guy on the block, tell us a little bit about your businesses.
Happy to, and thank you for having me. As you mentioned, we have three companies embedded in here. One of them is EFE Laboratories. EFE has been around for a lot of years, not in this area, but servicing the area, the region. We were previously located in Horsham, and the company was established in 1961 in that location. So we're coming up almost 60 years now. EFE is an established contract manufacturer that provides engineering services also. Fundamentally, what's that mean? If we provide the ability to build product for companies that don't necessarily want to be able or have the wherewithal to build them themselves. We'll help them debug the manufacturing process, debug the product itself, and then help them with the product roadmap to move the product forward and remain relevant in the marketplace. Electrotech Systems is another company that's under the Spark umbrella. Electrotech Systems designs instrumentation that's utilized in the analysis of static discharge. You know, you rub your feet in the carpet, touch somebody, zap. Well, you know, although we don't like it personally, electronics really don't like it, and so it's very hard on computer chips and things like that. So they help measure that and quantify how much static something can hold. Beyond that, they also produce a line of chambers that allow you, through use of polycarb or acrylic, to have a clear chamber, big box that you can have your gloves, hands go into gloves and work on things and manipulate things within the box that can be used for very delicate or very difficult to control processes. We have had customers all over the world for these boxes. They are utilized to assemble things like the Jarvik hearts. There was a quote in this last year for one potentially going to the International Space Station. So anyways, really interesting product line. So beyond that, and these very technical devices they produce, we provide consulting as to how to properly use the device, and we also maintain the calibration for them. Last, as you mentioned, is Spark. Spark was founded with the idea there's a lot of young early stage companies out there that could really use the help of a more mature organization to tap into their manufacturing expertise and help them catapult forward and reduce their risk. So we've established Spark. We have space for them in offices that are backed by state-of-the-art servers with switches and everything else that provides cybersecurity, so they can move right in and have very sophisticated computer systems backing them, allowing them to have factory floor space also where they can assemble with the toolage of experienced engineers as well as supervisors. Fundamentally, you can drop in a small manufacturing organization into here, that's an early stage company, and they can be up and running very quickly, like I said, reducing risk and accelerating their time to market.
That's exciting. How did you end up in Perkasie?
I live actually in Hilltown, and I love the community. So as I started to take a look where we could grow the company, I naturally started in my backyard. I'm from a small town, very, very small town in southern Ohio. And so I like the idea of locating the business in a smaller community where we could really be an integral part of the community and participate and, you know, do all the things that you can do, such as Christmas tree lighting, you know, love being a participant in things like that. And I know there's other festivals throughout the year that we're looking forward to partaking in also.
Now, you're located in the old Sea Camp building on Park Avenue. How many employees do you have?
Around 70 right now.
Okay. Now, you were designated as a life-sustaining business, so you were not subject to the governor's shutdown order. Why was that? Why are you a life-sustaining business?
It was kind of interesting. This has been a wild ride I think, for everybody involved in it. From the moment the governor went put the order out, we immediately thought, well, what we thought was we do is very important. But within 24 hours, we had a letter from the Department of Defense telling us what we do is very important and we better keep doing it. So I thought, Governor, DOD, I thought, okay, well, we'll keep doing what we're doing. Over the coming days, we ended up with about 4 or 5 other letters. And it's kind of one of the ironies of the businesses that we've learned more about our customer base and how important we are out of these letters that we've received. We learned, first of all, that in communication devices, we are involved with communication devices that are utilized in disaster relief. and emergency response. And as you can imagine, it's very relevant right now. The devices can be utilized to communicate and set up a field hospital and facilitate communication through a field hospital, for example. And as you're aware, various convention centers and other things be converted. And so what we produce could be utilized to facilitate and create a communication nexus in those, a high reliability communication nexus. We also found out that some of what we produce are fundamentally control systems utilized in the bioreactors that are the basis for building up the drugs and vaccines that are actually used state-of-the-art basis now for treating viruses. So we're hopefully producing a portion of the equipment that will ultimately provide us a solution to our current dilemma. And beyond that, we've received some other types of information that we're producing. The equipment is also utilized in testing gowns, face masks, and things like that. So it was interesting to gain insight. Sometimes you don't get that.
Interesting, yes. Now you've come up with some creative scheduling to keep your 70 employees safe while they perform this important work. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, first, there's a great set of protocols that are out there as far as cleaning, face masks, gloves, all the things I think are probably being standardly deployed throughout the community and region. But beyond that, the building is fairly large, and so we decided to disperse the people around the building more so we could create more and more space around the individuals. But then we thought, well, what if we have somebody come in and ends up with the illness? What do we do? And we thought, well, maybe we should think about dividing the company up a little bit. So we decided to create an A team and a B team. So the A team works 3/12s, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. The B team works Thursday, Friday, Saturday. And we thought, well, worst comes to worst, if we lose one team, we still be able to sustain at least half of our manufacturing. So far, both teams are still working at full capacity. We're very pleased by that. But it's part of our contingency planning.
It sounds like you were ready for that. You're continuing to work now. Have you had to apply for any kind of federal, state, or local assistance?
We've put an application in. The application flowed through successfully. Right now, I think that for everybody, as we have become accustomed, I guess, at some level, the new standard has become our expectation at this point. We don't know how long this will go on. So as part of trying to anticipate the end date, we're prepared and continuing to create an increasingly robust plan as to how we can sustain, as we see in the very top level of the political realm. So there's quite a debate as to how long this should go on. And I think over the coming weeks, we're going to end up with definitive information. I'll reveal a lot more about that for all of us. So we're prepared for whatever outcome may come.
Very good. Now, what's your mindset going into the future? How are you coping with the uncertainty that we're all facing? How are you doing it personally? How are you doing it professionally?
Interesting. Well, I guess on a professional basis, it's a lot of research and trying to look at a diverse set of data as it comes in from all over the world, because there's a lot of spin and you really need to look back to the data. And so I'm trying to take what's objectively known out there, interesting things that I kind of gravitate towards, such as the French aircraft carrier, in which out of population like 2,200 people on the aircraft carrier, 1,000 were infected. They hadn't had any deaths yet. To me, that's very interesting information as to the way it spreads and the mortality rate in different scenarios. So reading a lot of things like that, trying to coalesce an opinion myself of where it might go and overlay that on what's publicly put in front of us on a regular basis. So taking those things, trying to pull that and think about it in real terms. If I see a coping strategy that works for somebody, is there anything I can apply in the business to protect my employees? One burden from my perspective is the employees look to me with a lot of trust. I mean, they show up here under the belief that this is a safe environment that I'm facilitating for them. And I'm trying to do anything and everything I can to facilitate that environment and have them and earn that respect that they've shown towards me. And that carries to home also. There's a lot of burden in the home front to try to make sure that I keep the family safe, that I mitigate out the risks to the best of my ability while remaining and maintaining as much normalcy as I possibly can. For everybody, right now, it's nice to have a couple people, a couple things are steady, a couple rocks are out there you can lean on, trying to sustain that somewhat linear path in a world that's a little topsy-turvy.
That sounds like an interesting way to look at the world. I appreciate it. Now, you told me you are an engineer by trade and also by personality. So I
Oh, yeah.
asked you if you could, tell us a good corny joke, maybe sing us a few songs, a few lines from your favorite song, or do an impression of a famous person. But you asked if you could tell me an anecdote from your grandfather, I think it was, that might be appropriate for this time. Let's hear that.
Okay. Yeah, so there's been some really interesting things you see behaviorally, and one of the things that delights me, part of what I've come to enjoy about being in Perkasie, is that when I walk, and I walk every day, my wife and I now we're avid participants in our gym, and which is shut down, so we walk several times a day, about a mile loop through Perkasie, going different ways. And one of the things we really enjoy is we've seen a lot more people sitting out on their front porches, and they're always waving, and they're being very, very friendly as we walk. And they don't know who I am. And it reflected back to my grandfather. I used to tote around, and my grandfather in northern Wisconsin, he had an old World War II Army Jeep that whistled because it had bullet holes in it. As we drive down the road with the Jeep whistling away, he'd wave at one person, wave at another person. And I had been up there enough to know he didn't know any of these people. So one day I asked him, I said, "Grandpa, what are you doing?" And he looked at me and he said, "A smile and a wave is free, but the potential friendship is really priceless." So I waved. And
That's
I thought
awesome.
that
That's a philosophy for the ages, I think, and never more so appropriate than now. Absolutely.
great.
Kip, I appreciate you taking the time today, introducing yourself to the community. I appreciate everything that you have done so far in your time here in Perkasie, and we really look forward to the things that you'll be doing in the future. Thanks.
Thank you.
Stay safe, stay healthy, and good luck.